This is Captain Darvo's True Tales, completely factual maritime adventures, printed somewhere near the equator. The Batam Bandits. The VHF radio crackled at 11:47 p.m. Not the clean digital crackle of a modern radio. The wet, distorted, dying battery crackle of a handheld VHF that had been dropped in the sea at least twice and was now held together by electrical tape and optimism. A voice came through. Indonesian, calm, almost polite.
Grey boat, you stop, we come to you.
Finnigan, who was at the helm because Darvo was asleep in the cabin and the lady in red was asleep on the sunpad, and someone had to drive the boat through the most pirated stretch of water in Southeast Asia at midnight, stared at the radio. He picked it up.
Sorry, mate, can you repeat that? Didn't quite catch it.
You stop, we come, you stop your engine.
Finnigan looked out into the darkness. Nothing. Just black water, black sky. The distant glow of Batam's refinery on the horizon like a city on fire. Then he saw it. A light, a single light, low on the water, moving toward them at maybe 4 knots. The speed of a sampan with a 20 horsepower outboard that was working at about 60% capacity. Finnigan keyed the radio.
Yeah, nah, I'm not going to do that.
He put the radio down, looked at his feet. Barefoot on the helm deck at midnight in Pirate Alley. He thought about his mother in Mexico. She thought he worked in marine logistics. She was technically correct. This was logistics. The logistics of not being robbed. It had started, as most of Captain Darvo's problems did, with a sentence that contained the words "quick trip" and "nothing complicated." They were running the Nordic 26 from Singapore to Batam for a fuel dock visit and what Darvo described as a business meeting, and what Finnigan later described as lunch at a place that doesn't have a menu, doesn't have walls, and the beers cost 60 cents. The crossing from Singapore to the Batam fuel dock should have taken 40 minutes. It had taken 40 minutes. This was the last time anything would go according to schedule. They arrived at the fuel dock at noon. The fuel dock at Sekupang is not what most people picture when they hear the word marina. It is a concrete slab with 2 pumps, one of which works, attended by a man named Pak Rahim, who has been fueling boats since before Finnigan was born, and who charges by a system that Finnigan has never been able to determine is based on liters, time, conversation length, or mood. Every transaction ended with a different total. Darvo had never once questioned it.
Pat Rahim's fuel is always good, his price is always fair, and his memory is better than any receipt. Also, he knows where we sleep, so we pay what he says.
The fuel took 30 minutes. The lunch took 4 hours. The lunch venue was a warung approximately 200 meters from the dock, accessible via a path that could generously be described as a suggestion between 2 drainage ditches. It had a tin roof, plastic chairs, a woman named Ibu Ratna who cooked everything on a single gas burner the size of a dinner plate, and a view of the strait that would have cost $400 a plate in Singapore. Here, it cost $12 for 3 people, including drinks. Darvo ordered for the table without looking at anything. There was no menu. There had never been a menu. Ibu Ratna cooked what she had, and you ate what she cooked. And you were grateful because it was better than anything you'd eaten in the last month, and she knew it. The beers cost 60 cents each. They were cold, they were local, they were served in glasses that had been washed in a bucket. Darvo consumed an amount that Finnigan chose not to count because counting would have made him an accessory, and also because he lost count after the 6th one. The lady in red ate an entire grilled fish, head, tail, the works, picked it clean with surgical precision, then moved on to 2 plates of sambal kangkong, a bowl of bakso, and something wrapped in a banana leaf that she didn't share and didn't explain. She somehow emerged looking like she'd just walked out of a perfume advertisement. Her lipstick had not moved, not once. Finnigan was beginning to suspect it was tattooed on. Finnigan had eaten something he was told was chicken. He was choosing to believe this. The evidence was inconclusive. The bones were the wrong shape, and the flavor was outstanding, which in his experience meant it was better not to ask. By the time they left the fuel dock, it was 10 p.m. They had been in Batam for 10 hours. The quick trip had become a day trip. The nothing complicated had involved Davo lending Pak Rahim a socket set that would never be returned. Finnigan stepping in something at the warung that required hosing off at the dock, and the lady in red negotiating the purchase of a hand-woven basket from a woman on the dock path for a price so low the woman looked both offended and impressed. The strait was dark. The container ship traffic was a wall of moving lights to the north, stretching from Changi to Tuas. Each ship was 300 to 400 meters long, doing 12 to 15 knots, and had the turning radius of a small country. Indonesia was a smudge of orange refinery glow to the south. The refinery at Batam burns 24 hours a day. At night, it looks like Mordor if Mordor produced petroleum products and had a karaoke bar. And between the two, between the container ships and the refinery, in the dark channel where the water was 60 meters deep and the law was approximately 0 meters deep, they were alone. At 11 p.m., Davo stood up from the helm.
Finnigan, take the wheel. I'm going to close my eyes for 20 minutes.
You're going to sleep now in Pirate Alley?
It's not Pirate Alley.
It is literally called Pirate Alley by every single person who has ever crossed it.
Those people are dramatic.
Those people have been robbed, Davo.
Have I ever been robbed?
You've never been robbed because you've never crossed at midnight before.
Then tonight is educational. Wake me if anything happens.
Define anything.
Anything that requires both hands on the wheel.
Like pirates?
Like large marine mammals, Finnigan. Pirates don't worry me. Whale sharks worry me. Do you know what happens when you hit a whale shark at 20 knots?
No.
Neither do I, and I intend to keep it that way. Watch for whale sharks.
You want me to watch for whale sharks and pirates?
Container ships, and fish traps, and unlit fishing boats, and debris.
So everything.
Welcome to Night Passages, Finnigan. Everything is trying to kill you. Enjoy the stars.
Davo went below. Within 90 seconds, he was asleep. The man could sleep anywhere. Finnigan had once seen him fall asleep standing up at a fuel dock in Langkawi while holding a nozzle. The fuel overflowed. Davo woke up, looked at the spill, said, "That'll evaporate," and went back to sleep in the cabin. The fuel did not evaporate. The marina charged them a cleaning fee. Davo expensed it as environmental consultation. The lady in red was on the sun pad. She had been asleep since they passed the fish farms. She slept the way she did everything else, perfectly, silently, and in a way that made other people feel inadequate about their own sleeping. She had a pashmina draped over her legs. It matched her dress. She had packed a matching pashmina for a midnight strait crossing. Finnigan had forgotten to bring socks. He was, in his own assessment, losing the life competition to everyone on this boat. Finnigan was alone, at the helm, barefoot, in the dark, in the strait between Singapore and Indonesia, with a radar screen showing 14 contacts, a depth sounder showing 62 meters, the smell of Ibu Ratna's sambal still on his shirt, and a growing sense that the universe was about to test him. The stars were extraordinary. No light pollution this far from either shore. The Milky Way stretched overhead like a smear of white paint. He could see the Southern Cross. He could see Jupiter. He could see his own breath in the air conditioning draft from the cabin hatch. He also could see, increasingly clearly, that he was very alone on a very dark ocean, and that his captain was unconscious. At 11:45 p.m., a contact appeared at the edge of the radar. Small, slow, no AIS transponder, moving on an intercept course. Finnigan watched it for 2 minutes. It didn't change course. It was heading directly for the Nordic. At 11:47, the VHF crackled.
Grey boat, you stop, we come to you.
Finnigan's first thought was practical. How do they know we're grey? It's midnight. The answer was night vision, or they'd been watching from the Batam anchorage, or someone at the fuel dock had made a phone call. His second thought was, I should wake Darvo. His third thought was, Darvo told me to only wake him if it requires both hands on the wheel. His fourth thought was, this definitely requires both hands on the wheel, and possibly a weapon, and possibly the Coast Guard, and possibly a different career. His mother's voice echoed, Marine logistics is a good career. Yes, Maman, very good. Excellent logistics happening right now at midnight with pirates on the radio. He went to the cabin hatch.
Darvo.
Nothing.
Darvo.
A grunt. The sound of a man who considers consciousness an inconvenience.
Darvo. We've got company.
Define company that...
There's a boat, no lights, no AIS coming straight at us. And they just radioed asking us to stop.
What did you tell them?
I told them, yeah, nah.
It's actually the correct answer.
Darvo appeared at the cabin hatch. He was wearing the same clothes he'd been sleeping in, which were the same clothes he'd been wearing all day, which were the same clothes he'd been wearing yesterday. But the captain's hat went on first, in the dark, at midnight, facing a potential pirate approach. Hat first. Everything else second. Priorities. He walked to the helm, looked at the radar, looked at the contact.
How fast is it moving?
About 4 knots.
What's our speed?
0. I put us in neutral.
Why?
Because you told me to only wake you if it needed both hands, and I needed one hand to open the hatch.
Fear. How far out?
800 meters, closing.
Darvo looked out into the darkness, saw the single light, low, dim. The kind of light that comes from a torch strapped to a sampan mast with cable ties.
That's a sampan.
I know it's a sampan.
20 horsepower at best. Wooden hull. Probably leaking.
Great. So we're being robbed by a boat that's also sinking.
We're not being robbed, Finnigan.
Then what's happening?
An inconvenience is happening.
Darvo pushed the throttle forward. The Mercury roared to life. The Nordic surged from 0 to 15 knots in 4 seconds. He turned the wheel 30 degrees to port, opening the distance. The VHF crackled again.
Grey boat, you stop, we are coming.
Darvo picked up the handset, and in a voice so calm it could have been reading the weather forecast for a pleasant Tuesday afternoon on Radio New Zealand, he said,
Negative. We are not stopping. I suggest you return to port. The sea state is deteriorating, and your vessel does not appear seaworthy. Safe travels.
He released the key, took a sip of the beer he had apparently grabbed from the cooler on his way up from the cabin. At midnight, during a pirate approach, he had stopped for a beer. Finnigan stared at him.
Did you just give pirates a weather advisory?
I gave them practical maritime advice.
They're trying to rob us, and you're worried about their boat condition?
Their boat is in terrible condition, Finnigan. It's a genuine safety concern. They should not be out here in that thing. I've seen better structural integrity in a cardboard box.
They're pirates.
Pirates with a bad boat. 2 problems. One is mine, one is theirs.
Both problems are currently converging on the same location.
Which is why I'm driving away, Finnigan. Observe. Learning opportunity.
The radar showed the contact changing course, matching the Nordic's new heading. Still closing, slowly, but closing. Darvo watched it, took another sip.
Persistent.
That's one word for it.
All right, wake her up.
Wake her up? Why?
Because this is about to get interesting and she'll be annoyed if she misses it.
She'll be more annoyed if I wake her up.
Finnigan, In the hierarchy of things that frighten me, Indonesian sea bandits in a leaking sampan are number 4. That woman being woken up unnecessarily is number 1. I am making a calculated decision that this situation qualifies.
What's number 2 and 3?
The New Zealand tax office and jellyfish. In that order. Wake her up.
Why is the tax office scarier than pirates?
Pirates want your money, Finnigan. The IRD wants your money and a detailed explanation of why you had it. Pirates are honest about their intentions. Tax accountants are not.
That is the most unhinged thing you've ever said.
And yet you know I'm right. Wake her up.
Finnigan approached the sunpad with the caution of a man disarming an explosive device.
Hey, excuse me, sorry to...
The lady in red opened one eye, just one. The other remained closed as if it was holding her place in whatever dream she'd been having.
What?
There are pirates
Where?
behind us, about 600 meters.
She opened the other eye, sat up, looked at the darkness behind the boat, looked at Finnigan, looked at Darvo at the helm drinking a beer.
Is he drinking?
He grabbed it on the way up from the cabin.
During the pirate situation?
During the pirate situation, yes.
She lay back down.
Wake me when they're alongside.
You want me to wake you when the pirates are alongside?
If they catch a boat that does 47 knots in a sampan that does 4, they deserve a conversation.
That is an insane risk assessment.
It's mathematics, Finnigan.
She's right. The maths is very much in our favour.
The maths. You're both doing maths right now. I'm surrounded by people who respond to piracy with arithmetic.
Would you prefer we respond with panic?
I would prefer we respond with speed, Darvo. Maximum speed. In the direction of Singapore, where there are laws.
There are laws here too.
Name one.
Maritime law is universal, Finnigan.
Maritime law doesn't apply to a sampan with a torch taped to it.
Maritime law applies to every vessel on the water regardless of size, propulsion method, or lighting arrangement. That's the beauty of it. Very egalitarian.
The VHF crackled again. The voice was less polite, more desperate.
Hey, you stop, we just want talk only!
Finnigan grabbed the handset.
Mate, I have lived in Southeast Asia long enough to know that just want to talk at midnight in the Batam Strait does not mean just want to talk. It has literally never once in history meant just want to talk. Every bad thing that has ever happened in this strait started with someone saying, just want to talk.
Darvo took the handset from him gently.
What my colleague means is, we respectfully decline your invitation to stop. Please be advised that this vessel is equipped with radar, AIS, satellite communications, and a very irritable first mate who hasn't slept. We recommend you redirect your attention to slower, less alert traffic. Channel 16 is monitored. Good evening.
You just gave them tactical advice on how to rob someone else?
I redirected their business model. It's a service.
It is not a service.
In New Zealand, we'd call it community engagement.
In North America, we'd call it aiding and abetting.
You're not American, Finnigan.
I learned English from people who are essentially North American. Darvo, the Maori and the Native Americans share a spiritual energy when it comes to calling out nonsense. And right now, this is nonsense.
Good thing we're in international waters.
We're in Indonesian waters.
Even better. No jurisdiction that applies to us.
That is not how jurisdiction works.
It's how it works at midnight, Finnigan. Everything works differently at midnight.
The radar showed 2 contacts now. The original sampan and a second one. Faster, coming from the east. A pincer movement.
Darvo, there's a second one.
I see it.
This is a coordinated operation.
It's a coordinated inconvenience.
Can you please, just once, call a dangerous situation a dangerous situation?
When I encounter a dangerous situation, Finnigan, I will call it one. 2 fishing boats with a combined horsepower, less than our tender, are not a dangerous situation. They are a scheduling conflict.
A scheduling conflict with machetes.
You don't know they have machetes.
Every sampan in the Batam Strait has a machete. It's standard equipment. It's like a VHF, or an engine, or regret.
You've become very dramatic since Mexico.
I was dramatic in Mexico. That's why I left. There wasn't enough to be dramatic about. Now there is.
The first sampan was now visible, not just as a light on the radar, as an actual physical boat emerging from the darkness like a fever dream. It was a wooden sampan approximately 5 meters long. It had been painted blue at some point in a previous decade. The paint was now mostly memory. The hull had been patched with what appeared to be fiberglass, plywood, and in one section near the bow, a flattened cooking oil tin that still had the brand logo visible. It had a single outboard engine, a Yamaha 2-stroke that was old enough to vote in most democracies, and it was smoking from the cowling in a way that suggested it was running on a fuel mixture that included hope, palm oil, and whatever was cheapest at the Batam dock. Aboard were 4 men. Man number 1, the leader, thin, weathered, a face that had been seasoned by every monsoon since independence. He wore a yellow rain poncho that was too large for him. It billowed in the wind like a cape. Man number 2, the young one, the one who'd said, "Just want to talk, la." He wore a blue poncho and had the nervous energy of someone who had been talked into this plan and was now deeply regretting it. Man number 3, the big one, solid, quiet. He wore what appeared to be a black bin liner with armholes cut into it. He sat in the middle of the sampan like ballast, human ballast with a poncho made of garbage bag. He was bailing water with a cut-in-half Clorox bottle. This was the bilge pump. The bilge pump was a man with a bleach container. Man number 4, the motorcycle helmet. He wore, for reasons that would never be satisfactorily explained to anyone involved, a full-face motorcycle helmet, on a boat, in the ocean, at midnight. They were wet, they were cold, and they looked, more than anything else, exhausted. Finnigan lowered the binoculars.
Davo,
Yes.
I don't think these are pirates.
What are they?
I think these are 4 guys having a really bad night on a really bad boat who saw a nice boat and thought, maybe they'll stop and give us fuel, and then committed to the bit when we didn't stop, and now they're too deep into the performance to back out without losing face.
The one in the motorcycle helmet. Why is he wearing a motorcycle helmet?
I have no idea. Maybe he's safety conscious.
He's on a sinking boat in the middle of the strait at midnight wearing a bin liner. Safety consciousness is not his strong suit.
Maybe he drove his motorbike to the dock and forgot to take it off.
It's the most reasonable explanation I've heard all night, and it's deeply unreasonable.
The lady in red, still lying on the sun pad, eyes closed, had apparently been listening to the entire analysis.
It's a fishing boat. They want your catch or your fuel, not your life. Slow down.
Both men turned to look at her.
How do you know that?
The ponchos. Real pirates don't wear ponchos. Real pirates wear black. These are fishermen who missed their quota and are trying to make up for it by being opportunistic. The big one is bailing water, which means they've been out too long. The young one keeps looking behind him, which means he's scared. Scared people don't rob people. Scared people ask for help. Badly. It's Tuesday. They need to be back at the Batam fish market by 4 a.m. or they lose their spot.
How do you know what day fishermen go to market?
I know what day everyone goes to market. And I know that those men in that boat are not a threat. They are a transaction.
How do you know all this?
A pause.
I grew up near water.
That was all she said. She did not elaborate. She would never elaborate. Davo looked at the sampan, looked at the lady in red, looked at Finnigan.
All right, throttle back.
Are you serious?
Finnigan, I've been at sea for 35 years. In that time, I have been approached by customs officers, coast guards, whale researchers, drug runners, a man selling lobsters from a kayak, and a woman in the Maldives who wanted directions to Colombo in a pedal boat. I have learned to trust my judgment. My judgment says these are not pirates. My judgment also says she's never been wrong. About anything, ever. And I find that deeply annoying but statistically relevant.
He pulled the throttle back. The Nordic slowed.
If we die, I want it on the record that I objected.
Noted. Your objection will be included in the subcommittee minutes.
What subcommittee?
The subcommittee of people on this boat who are wrong. It currently has one member.
The sampan pulled alongside, slowly, coughing exhaust. The motorcycle helmet man stood up, picked up the rope, threw it. He missed, pulled it back, threw it again, missed again. Third throw. It caught the stern cleat. A small cheer erupted from the sampan. The motorcycle helmet man raised both fists in triumph. His visor fell down. He pushed it back up. This was clearly the most successful thing that had happened to them all night. The leader stood up carefully. He looked at Davo. Davo looked at him. 2 captains, 2 boats. The other held together by a cooking oil tin. The man spoke.
Boss, you have fuel? We pay?
Davo looked at the man's fuel tank. A 20-litre jerrycan strapped to the transom with bungee cords. It was empty.
You're out of fuel.
Almost. Maybe 2 liter left.
You're in the middle of the strait with 2 litres of fuel.
Was supposed to be 4 liter. The gauge is not accurate.
Your fuel gauge is broken.
Everything is broken, boss. The gauge, the engine, the bilge pump. That is the bilge pump. His name is Wahyu. He has been pumping for 6 hours. He is very tired. My back is also broken. Everything is broken, but the prawns are good.
Finnigan, get the spare fuel can. The 10-litre one.
We're giving pirates our fuel.
They're not pirates, Finnigan.
They radioed us to stop in the dark, in the Batam Strait, at midnight.
And now they've pulled alongside and asked to buy fuel, which is what fishermen do.
Normal fishermen don't open with "you stop, we come to you" on the VHF at midnight.
Their marketing strategy is unconventional. I'll grant you that. Get the fuel.
What about the second boat?
They all looked at the radar. The second contact had stopped, then turned, then disappeared. It had been the backup plan. The backup plan had lost interest. The second boat has departed Finnigan. The threat level has been downgraded from scheduling conflict to customer service interaction. Get the fuel. Finnigan got the fuel. He passed it across to the sampan. The men received it like it was holy water. Then the leader reached into his yellow poncho and produced a crumpled plastic bag. Inside, 6 enormous fresh prawns, tiger prawns, each one the length of a man's hand, still alive.
For you, boss, from today. Very fresh.
Davo held the bag, looked at the prawns, squeezed one gently, checked the shell firmness, smelled them.
These are good prawns.
Best prawns in Batam Strait. You know why? Because everybody too scared to fish here at night. Only crazy people fish here. We are crazy people.
We are also crazy people.
I can see, boss. You cross at midnight in a boat worth more than my village, with no gun, with no crew, with just this one skinny boy with no shoes, and that one sleeping lady. Very crazy.
I'm not skinny. I'm lean. There's a difference.
The leader ignored him entirely. The lady in red from the sun pad, without opening her eyes.
Ask them if they have crab.
The leader shouted something in Malay to the motorcycle helmet man, who rummaged in a bucket and produced 2 enormous mud crabs, alive, legs waving, each one the size of a dinner plate. The lady in red opened one eye, assessed the crabs, closed the eye.
How much?
For the pretty lady, free.
Nothing is free. How much?
$20 Singapore.
10.
Boss, these crabs are
10, and I won't tell your wife you called me pretty.
The man laughed so hard the sampan rocked. The motorcycle helmet man grabbed the gunnel to keep from falling in. Even the big man, Wahyu, the silent human bilge pump, paused his bailing for 2 seconds to register amusement. 2 seconds, then resumed.
$10. Okay. You win. Everybody always lose to the pretty lady.
You're doing it again.
Sorry. The customer?
Finnigan passed across a $10 note. The crabs were transferred to the Nordic's cooler in a procedure that involved the motorcycle helmet man holding both crabs at arm's length, while Finnigan opened the cooler lid, while Davo held the torch, while the young nervous man shouted instructions in Malay that nobody followed. The leader started his engine. It coughed, died. He pulled the cord. It coughed again, died again. The third pull produced a sound like a cat being surprised. The fourth pull, it caught.
Thank you, boss. You are a good man. Maybe next time we see you, we don't call on the radio first, we just wave.
It would be appreciated.
Or maybe we call and you stop. Now we are friends.
We are absolutely not friends, but you have good prawns and your crabs are underpriced.
Same thing, boss. Good prawns and friendship, same thing.
The sampan pulled away, slowly, coughing. The motorcycle helmet man waved. Finnigan, against every instinct he had, waved back. The Nordic was back at speed, 25 knots, Singapore's skyline growing on the horizon.
Davo,
Yes,
we just bought crabs from pirates.
we bought crabs from fishermen.
Fishermen who opened the conversation by ordering us to stop in the dark.
The customer acquisition strategy needs work, I'll grant you that.
And you gave them fuel.
They needed fuel.
And you gave them a weather advisory.
The sea state was deteriorating. I was being accurate.
And you told them to redirect their business to other boats.
I was being constructive.
You were being an accessory.
I was being a neighbour, Finnigan. These waters don't belong to Singapore. They don't belong to Indonesia. They belong to whoever's out there at midnight, trying to make a living. Those men aren't terrorists. They're not cartels. They're 4 blokes in a boat that's falling apart, trying to catch enough prawns to feed their families. And when they saw a nice boat, they thought, maybe we can sell something. That's not piracy. That's Tuesday night in the Strait.
A pause.
Also, the prawns are genuinely exceptional. I can tell by the shell.
The lady in red sat up on the sunpad.
Are we having the crabs tonight?
It's midnight.
So?
So yes, obviously. Finnigan, there's a pot in the cabin, and chili sauce in the cooler, and the portable stove is in the lazarette.
We're doing a crab boil at midnight in the Singapore Strait after a pirate encounter.
Best time for it. Water's calm, the stars are out, no committee meetings for at least 8 hours, and the crabs are already angry, which improves the flavour.
That is not how flavor works.
It's how New Zealand flavour works. Angry protein is better protein. The animal releases something. Adrenaline, rage, character, whatever it is, it tastes better.
That is pseudoscience.
All the best food is pseudoscience. Put the pot on.
They cooked the crabs on the Nordic's portable butane stove at 12:45 a.m., drifting at idle speed a mile south of Sentosa. Davo ate his with a beer and his captain's hat still on. He cracked the claws with his hands. No tools. 30 years of seamanship had given him hands that could crack a crab claw and tie a bowline in the same motion. Finnigan ate his barefoot on the swim platform, feet in the water, looking at the stars. Container ships drifted past in the distance, their lights like slow-moving constellations. He had a pirate encounter on his record, crab juice running down his forearms, and the growing suspicion that this was going to happen again. He was having, he realized, the best meal of his life. The lady in red ate hers with chopsticks she produced from her handbag, because of course she carried chopsticks in her handbag, and did not get a single drop of sauce on her red dress. Not one drop. On a rocking boat. At midnight. With mud crab. The odds of a clean outcome were 0, and yet not one drop. At 1:30 a.m., they pulled into 115 Marina. The security guard at the dock looked at the three of them, salt-crusted, smelling of chili crab and two-stroke exhaust.
Good evening. How was your trip?
Uneventful.
Finnigan stared at him.
Uneventful.
What would you call it?
I would call it a pirate attack, Davo.
You would call a lot of things, Finnigan. That's why I do the talking.
They walked up the dock, Davo first, steady, hat on, then the lady in red, heels clicking, chopsticks back in the handbag, then Finnigan, barefoot, carrying a cooler containing 6 prawns, 2 crab shells, a $10 receipt he would never be able to explain to an accountant, and a growing suspicion that this was going to happen again. Captain Davo's true tales will return. Next episode, the RSYC Otter Offensive,